Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
Bob, I am talking with a couple today that has traveled to every one of our 50 states, 60 foreign countries on 7 continents. And they're joining me from Mexico. How about you?
Now, did they do all that in an RV?
All of it in an RV.
Wow. I don't know if I can top that, but I've got Joel Holland, the CEO of Harvest Host, which is just getting an incredible amount of publicity for unique overnight accommodations. It's a great story and it never gets old.
Never a better time to learn about Harvest Host with the campground shortage this time of year.
Yep.
Okay, those great stories plus all the news of the day. And by the way, folks, if you like this show, there's a little button down the bottom right. Hit the subscribe button. We'll be back with more of what show, Bob?
The Camper Report Show.
Right after this. And welcome back to the Camper Report Show. This is our news segment. And Bob, we cull all of our news from RV Business, the leading source for business news about the RV industry. We're happy to partner with them.
Yeah, they're great partners. Sherm Goldenberg, Greg Four, Rick Kessler. They are the go-to site for RV industry news on a daily basis with their newsletter. And we're just like everybody else. That's where we go to pick up the stories that we want to report on every week.
Right. And all of our viewers that want to do that, just go to rvbusiness.com and hit that button that says subscribe to our newsletter. And speaking of news, Bob, we are starting to sound like a broken record.
We are.
Because for the sixth consecutive month, we are going to say RV shipments have set a new record. Amazing.
Yeah, and it wasn't too hard to do in April, but in the context of last April where everybody was shut down. So you and I could have probably beat last April's records, but the fact of the matter is they sold 140,000 travel trailers so far this year, 180,000 all towables, 200,000 all RVs. And put it in perspective, travel trailers were up 600.5%, 600.5. And all towables were up 619%. All shipments, 619%. Motorhomes, 628% from last year.
Yeah.
That's not just a recovery. That's a different planet.
Explosion.
Different planet.
Let's put those percentages into real numbers. That turns out to 51,800 units shipped in the month of April. And of that 51,000, 46,000 were towables. And it amazes me every time that we talk about this, that towables used to be 2 or 3 to 1 over motorized, but now it's 8 to 1. And I think you said it's because of the ease of the entry into the RV lifestyle with a towable, which can be anywhere from $10 to $80,000.
That's the beauty of towables. You're right, and it's got something for everybody size-wise. It's got something for everybody price-wise. It's got a floor plan that'll meet your needs regardless of what they are, whether it's 2 people or 10 people. They even got pop-up campers that can sleep 10 people. So there's no excuse not to buy an RV and go out and have some fun.
Okay, and we should say that if you are going to go camping in a pop-up with 9 other people, make sure none of them snore.
Well, why would you want to go with 10 other people in a pop-up? But again, it's individual taste, and maybe you got 8 kids.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
You can't have a lottery to see who you're going to take with you.
And if you are going in a travel trailer, a towable trailer, the other big news of the day within the industry is that the talk of electric vehicles. We talked last week about Ford coming up with a new F-150 that's all electric. And our friend Chuck Woodbury in RV Travel put a very interesting, I don't know if you want to call it editorial on about you tow your travel trailer to a campground and you can plug in the travel trailer, but how are you going to plug in your electric vehicle? that's going to be an issue.
Well, it's not how, it's can you,
Yeah,
because that
right.
is not a cost factor that's been built into the infrastructure of the outdoor hospitality industry at this point in time. There have been stories where people do come in with an electric vehicle and hook up their travel trailer, and then they look across the grass and find out that the site next to them is empty. So they drive their car over there and they park the car in, and it's free electricity, and it costs campgrounds money to run the campground. So there's going to have to be a whole revamping of the cost structure, and you'll see them starting to ask people, what type of vehicle do you have? And if it's an electric vehicle, you're going to use more electricity, there's going to be a surcharge.
Yep.
It's just like, surcharge for kids, surcharge for visitors, there'll be a surcharge for electric vehicles, and they're not all the same. Hopefully they're getting more to work with conventional electric plugins, which will help, but that's going to be a cost factor. And you're not going to find that in a Walmart parking lot. They're not going to have something for you to do there. So if it'll probably boost the campground business, but the campgrounds will get creative, and I'm sure some of them, maybe larger ones, but they'll have an area, much like they have a dog park. Maybe they'll have an area where you can drive over, and there's 10 electrical hookups for your car, and you put your quarters in and pay for your electricity on an on-demand basis. They'll get creative.
Exactly. And you know what? That's one thing about the RV industry. They tend to adapt. Many times they adapt later than be proactive. But here's a case where they're not going to have the capability to delay their innovation for too long, because I think I read somewhere they expect 56 million RVers to be heading out this summer. I don't know if that number is correct. I know I wrote it down earlier. But the other thing is this. There is a national shortage of RVs because of products that go into RVs that aren't available, especially if they have computer chips. And we've talked for the last several months about all of the electronics that are on the new RVs, whether they be motorized or whether they be towables, and talk a little bit about that point.
Yeah, the chip manufacturing is way off. It's impacting just about every industry that uses any kind of electronics, and automobiles and pickup trucks and RVs are not exempt from that. That's for sure. So it's causing even further delays in the production of some RVs, especially motorhomes, but it also impacts some of the trailers with their single connect technology systems. So they're going to be extending, it could add another 2 or 3 months to the delivery time. And you could almost say that if, here we are coming up to Memorial Day weekend, it's kind of the unofficial start to the camping season. And you might say that if you don't have a camper now, the chances of you getting a new one, other than something sitting on the dealer's lots, in terms of going in and ordering what you want with all the specs that you want, you could be looking at 3 to 6 months before you see that come. So this year is gone. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go camping. You can rent cabins, you can rent glamping tents, you can rent yurts at various campgrounds, KOAs.
Rent an RV too.
Right. So hop in the car and you can still go camping. But as far as your own vehicle, and you can try to rent one, but most rental companies are fully booked for the year, and they've got a waiting list, just waiting for people to, if somebody happens to cancel at the time being. So yeah, this chip thing is going to have an impact for this year, and it's really amazing when you look back and you think, going back to the stats as far as deliveries, that the industry was able to deliver that many RVs, that you're 600% over last year. And that's in light of the current manufacturing challenges, catching up with the manufacturing process, having the suppliers get caught up. Because right now, I would say that certainly in New England, none of our dealers have the amount of inventory that they would normally have. I mean, I'm talking to dealers every day. And some of them are at 25 or 30% of what they would normally have going into Memorial Day weekend or pre-Memorial Day in terms of sales.
You drive by the lot and they look like they're out of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just don't have the product there.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we are out of time, and you've got that great scene behind you in the great state of Maine. You're heading up to Maine this weekend. I'm heading down to the Connecticut shore. People are heading all over America this
Time
weekend.
to get out and head out.
Get out, head out. And if you want to find out more about any of the topics that we've talked about tonight, just go to rvbusiness.com and you'll find it all there. Have a great day, everybody. And we'll be back with 2 great features.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Camper Report Show, and I'm delighted to have good friend Joel Holland, the CEO of Harvest Host, and I've got a funny feeling that you may have heard about Harvest Host, but we're going to let you hear it right from Joel's mouth tonight. Joel, welcome to the Camper Report Show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bob. Always a blast. Always a blast to be here.
Yeah, it's a fun time, and you've done amazingly well since you acquired the company. Take us back a little bit in terms of your acquisition of Harvest Host and your success path that you're on right now.
Yeah. So my wife and I were RVing all over the country. We RV'd through all the lower 48 in our fifth wheel. And during that process, we came across the Harvest Host program, and it was pretty small, at the time, but just a really awesome concept of connecting RVers with small businesses like wineries and breweries and distilleries. And we joined and just fell in love with it. And I liked the company so much I bought it, as the phrase goes. But no, I reached out to the owners, Don and Kim, and just said, love this concept. I would love to try to grow it and take it to more people. My background, I'm a technology entrepreneur, had built and sold a pretty large technology company. And I wanted to take some of that expertise and just bring it to this, community that I love. And so we've grown quite a bit. I mean, we're now up to live number 2,361 locations all over North America, all lower 48 and Alaska. We've got some down in Baja California and Mexico, and then we're in every Canadian province as well. So really good coverage. Yeah,
it's kind of amazing. What was the number when you bought the company, Joel?
600. Yeah, there were 600. And then, for members, it's grown tremendously as well. We've really expanded this to a much larger network. And what's powerful there is the buying power that our members have. So what we love is with this business, obviously for us as RVers, it's a ton of fun to use Harvest Host and stay at really unique places. But it's also nice because we're supporting these small businesses that we visit. And our members this year will spend over $40 million directly with the Harvest hosts that they visit. And it translates into over $13,000 per host. So if you're a winery in Kansas, all of a sudden you've got yourself an extra revenue stream of $13,000 that we don't take any of. We don't take a piece. We never charge our hosts a dime. And it's great for them. So it's great for the hosts. It's great for the members. And that's the reason I love the company.
No, it is fantastic. I'm a member. John's a member. We stay at them frequently, and I'm always amazed at the quality of the host locations, but the experience. It's not intended to replace a campground. Campgrounds have their purpose in the outdoor hospitality industry, but you've set a unique marker. And talk a little bit about your members. How does somebody become a member, and why they're so excited about it?
Totally. So membership is very simple. It's a very simple program. You pay an annual membership fee of $99, and that gets you unlimited access to the entire network of over 2,000 locations. And you can stay as many times as you want for free. So there are no additional camping fees. I think that's the important part. You pick a winery you like, go there. There's no cost to stay there that night, but we do ask our members to support the businesses they visit, buy the wine, buy the produce, support the merchant. So, joining is as simple as going to harvesthost.com, filling out the join form, there are requirements. They're very simple, but you have to have a self-contained RV. So you need to be in a unit that has a bathroom inside, cooking facilities inside, water. And the reason is, with most of our hosts, you'll arrive during business hours, but then they'll close and you've got the property to yourself, but you won't have access to bathrooms. You won't have access to facilities. So it's important that you have your own,
Yeah. Well, explain the process, because it's not a national reservation service. People have to call out. Explain how they do that when they're on the road, because the nice thing about it when I'm on the road is I decide what particular area I'm going to be in that evening. And then I check the website and I look at all the hosts that are in that area. And I call them up, and sure enough, most of them have an opening for you.
Yes. And that's, especially these days, we love campgrounds. I stay in campgrounds like hundreds of days a year. They're getting hard to book, right? They're really full. This travel season, they're really full. And you have to book really far in advance a lot of times, which I'm not good at. I'm very much a spontaneous person. We travel last minute. We make decisions last minute. To me, that's the joy of RVing. With Harvest Host, you can be a little more flexible. And like you said, I typically book my Harvest Host locations like maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days ahead. But not weeks ahead. You can, but you don't have to.
You're better than me. I make them in the morning for the afternoon.
Right. And, and that's the thing, like, I like the flexibility it brings back to RVing, because that's, to me, the freedom of flexibility is a big part of this culture. As far as the actual booking process, we've actually updated it recently, made it even easier. So when you search, you can either search along your route, you can search in an area, you can literally see what's around you. However you do it, you find a place you like. Oh, this winery looks amazing. You'll click on the host profile. You'll see all the photos that our members have submitted, and they've submitted like hundreds of thousands of them. So there's just beautiful photos. You'll see comments, kind of get an idea for what the place is going to be like. And then you decide, yep, this is it. You can either call, if they're, either show a phone number to call, and you'll say, hey, I'm Bob. I'm a member. Here's my number. I'd like to visit. Or they might be on our new reservation system. We call it Book a Stay. And it'll say right on there, Book a Stay. You just click the link, brings up a calendar. You'll pick the day that you want to stay, submit the request. It goes straight to the host. They'll confirm it within the time frame. I forget exactly what it is, but a short time frame. They'll confirm it or not, but typically, hopefully confirm it, and you're good to go. And as of today, over 1,000 of our hosts are on the Request to Stay system. So it's a lot more efficient than, calling and finding out maybe there isn't room. Now you can look at a calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I haven't gone out this year, so that'll be good to know. But I still probably will make them the day of the trip, because I'm like you. I don't know where I'm going to wind up.
Right.
And speaking about winding up, talk a little bit about the types of facilities that you've got, because it's wide ranging, and you've added different categories since you've purchased the company.
Yes. So we have the following host types. We have wineries, currently 616 of them, farms, 609, and that includes produce farms, interesting like agritourism farms, think corn mazes in the fall, lavender farms in the spring. We have a category called attractions, which has 437 hosts. These are roadside attractions, museums, amusement parks, just kind of cool offbeat things that don't really fit into the other categories. The Mount Washington Cog Railway is an example in New Hampshire. Super cool. As a member, you can stay in the parking lot, watch the trains go all night. Golf courses, we have 401. And the final category that's growing a lot, breweries and distilleries, 298 of them. And, that's becoming a popular category. Everyone loves breweries and distilleries. So we're seeing more and more of those, trying to get them on the program.
Yeah, the microbreweries are fantastic. Oftentimes they'll have food trucks there. I also like the golf courses. The golf courses are nice because lots of times they're up early in the morning because golfers want to go out as soon as the sun comes up. So if you're in a hurry to get back on the road, you can have breakfast at the clubhouse and then hit the road. Maybe you played 9 or 18 holes the afternoon before that. The other thing, and John does this a lot with his grandchildren, you don't have to be going on a big trip or a vacation. You can decide on Friday that you want to take the grandkids to a farm somewhere in the neighborhood, somewhere maybe in the next state or less than an hour from the house, and you just hop out there and make a reservation, go to the farm, go Friday night, spend the Saturday on the farm with the kids, and then come back home. I know John does that a lot, and I'm sure several other members of the Harvest Host will also do something like that.
Absolutely. And we do it. I mean, so we're located in Vail, Colorado. We love jumping down to Palisade, Colorado, which has a lot of wineries. And we'll just go for the weekend, right? Pick some and go see, catch up, get some nice tastes. But yeah, the farms for kids. So we have a 5-month-old daughter. I can't wait till she's like a little more mobile, because the first alpaca farm that I can take her to, that's going to be fun. You probably see the little alpaca behind me. It's our unofficial mascot, but dude, kids love them. I mean, they're just such fun animals. So I'm excited to get her on some farm tours.
Well, that's fantastic, and we're delighted to have you with us today. What kind of future things do you have to look forward to for 2021? Now that everybody's pretty much back into a non-COVID environment, we're getting back into the outside, we're getting back camping, and of course that fueled such a tremendous growth for RVs and the campgrounds themselves. What are you looking forward to, or how are you approaching it? I know you. One thing you're doing, because I've seen it, you're doing some national advertising.
That's right. So yes, that's right. We've been doing national television advertising. We're still doing a lot of online advertising, and the big thing is hiring. We've hired about 25 people in the last 2 months, and a lot of these individuals are here to help us recruit new hosts. Because I think for our program to succeed and to keep up with this demand that we're seeing, we need more hosts. I think there are tens of thousands of really cool small businesses in the country that have room for RVers to stay and can use the patronage. So that's kind of the short-term and long-term goal for us. I want to see this 2,300 number grow to 10,000 hosts and become, just the footprint of, places for RVers to stay if they want, if they're looking for small businesses to support.
Now you have a program for your members if they happen to find a nice winery or a brewery. If they want to refer them to Harvest Host, you have a program for them also, right?
We do. Yes, absolutely. I mean, we have a host affiliate program where we'll pay $100 to anyone who onboards a new host. And we have a number of traveling affiliates who are on the road signing up hosts, making a little extra money, some making almost a living from it. So if anyone listening is interested, just contact team@harvesthosts.com and they'll tell you how to help us recruit.
That's fantastic. Well, Joel, I appreciate very much you coming on the Camper Report Show. It's always good to catch up to you and see what's new. And I'll have to hit the road and try a couple of those new places also.
Cool. Thanks, Bob. Always a pleasure. And yeah, man, that your background is making me thirsty both for wine and the open road. So I'll get out there too.
It's one of your host locations. Thanks very much, Joel. We'll see you later on.
I'm Jesse from Outsiders Calling, and I love adventurous family travel with my wife Jenny and our son Tucker.
For over 3 years, we've RV'd across the U.S. and Mexico, and it's tough to find places that meet all our needs.
Now we plan our trips with the RV Trip Wizard. Pull it up in the RV Life app, select it, and go.
It helps us discover amazing new places to grow together as a family.
RV Trip Wizard with the RV Life app is an awesome trip planning combination.
You can get both for one low annual price. Check out rvlife.com to learn more.
Hey everybody, it's John DePietro here, and this is the Camper Report Show. We want to thank you for joining us. And I've said this all along, folks, for the years that we've been doing TV segments about RVing, is that you meet the nicest people on the RV world, in the RV trails, whether it's at a campground, whether it's at a dealership, whether it's at a Walmart, whether it's at a roadside rest area. And I think that I know that you are going to enjoy this young couple that we have stumbled across because they were part of a very successful event not too long ago put out by our friends, the Bennetts. And they are Ann and Mike Howard. And they join me today from a little bit south of the border.
Mexico.
Mexico.
It's a tough one.
So, welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. So the HoneyTrek is where people can find you online. Tell us, give us a 30-second elevator story about your background, and then we'll get into the RVing aspect of your life, because that's what everybody wants to hear about.
Yeah, I mean, we met in New York City in 2006. Then we decided to get married a few years later. And for our honeymoon, we wanted to go big because we had a lot of the world to see. So we quit our jobs, sold most of our stuff. This was, I was in my late 30s and was in her mid 30s. And we started a trip around the world. It was going to be 1 year long. And then HoneyTrek, like a honeymoon, and Trek, like a long walk. So TREK is kind of the combination of our styles, a little bit of luxury, a little bit of backpacking. And here we are 9 years later.
So, and you're still gainfully unemployed.
I mean, no one really believes travel blogger is a job that can pay something. And trust me, it takes a long time to get there. But yes, HoneyTrek is our full-time business.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So when I saw the name of the website, I said, I don't hope people don't mix that up with Honey Wagon, because that's another RV term that has really nothing to do with your particular situation. But when I did some background research on you, I saw that you have a buddy, a third member of your family called Buddy. And Buddy is not the most recent vintage RV that's out there at all. And talk about our Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy the camper is a Toyota Sunraider from 1985. And that seemed like ridiculously old to be investing in something that's, got so many years on it, but it has that 22 RE engine that is, everybody and their mother was saying that thing is indestructible. You've got at least 500,000 miles on that thing. So buying it with 92,000 miles, we thought, oh, this is a young buck, let's do this. We weren't sure when we bought it, sort of sight unseen off of Craigslist in Florida, we were going to get to Georgia, but we've actually been to all 50 states, through various Canadian provinces to the Arctic Circle down to Baja in this camper without a hitch.
And a few good, there is a hitch on the back, but
he still goes.
A few good things about Buddy is, even though he's old, one, we got him, crazy affordable. It was $11,000 to own this camper that's now lasted us 4 years. So it's a very low input. I'm able to work on it. Tons of mechanics all over the US, Canada, and Mexico are able to work on it. So it doesn't need a specialty shop.
And part of his charms is, there's no power steering. It's the old hand crank windows with the smoking side deal, and but being simple, it's sturdy and workable.
And I guess as long as it starts and takes you from point A to point B, that's really what you want, right?
And you meet a lot of roadside angels along the way. We consider mechanics. We've met some good friends now.
Yeah. So one of the issues that I read about, I don't know if you call it an issue or not, but the circumstances that you guys deal with is that you're not dealing with a generator, you don't plug in, and you're 100% solar and propane. And today you would think that there's nobody that camps that way, but it works for y'all.
Totally. And there are a lot of people do it in the van life world, but they're usually much smaller rigs, and they've got a little composting toilet, but the full amenities, running water. We have a hot water tank. We have a shower, a fridge, a 4-burner stove, an oven. And we're, like you said, completely on solar and propane. And it just gives us so much more freedom to know that we can go about 2.5, 3 weeks if we really stretch it without ever seeing a person to fill up propane or get fresh water. So that freedom lets us really get into the woods and connect, like you said, with the destination, with the land, which is what we're really out there RVing for.
And I'd like to make a distinction is that it's not that we don't have them. We made a choice early on not to use them. We have a generator, never run it. We had a plug to plug in, never used it. And we even had an AC unit and sold it for $100 on Craigslist. So we kind of realized that this is what kind of style of camping do we want? It's to be untethered. It's to get into the wilderness, and that you don't really need all those things. Even if you have them, that might not be the best way to go.
Yeah, and you know what? When you look at all the studies now as to who the new RVer is, it's not the person that wants to buy the 45-foot diesel pusher and go to a campground either for a week at a time or seasonally. It is the young folks like you folks that want to get in and get going. They want that solar power. They want that capability to live off the grid. So you were really pioneers of it when you really analyze it, because it wasn't until COVID hit that giant boom went out to the 30 somethings and took off.
Totally. They can all work remotely, and they have the possibility to do it. And along that line of thinking with, being more simple and running off solar and, and all the ways that we try and do it. Another thing is that people think we have this like desire as Americans to just have like more horsepower, V8, V6, V12, like, I need 10,000 pounds of, of torque or whatever, towing capacity. And like these numbers, like we get kind of hyped up on them, but we've got, Buddy is 4 cylinders, he's 4-speed, and he has 106 horsepower. He's crossed
18 miles to the gallon.
Well, that's the upside, yeah. And like he crosses every hill. We're up and down the Continental Divide, visiting Colorado to my brother, to her mom in LA. Like we don't meet a hill we can't climb. Yeah, we climb it a little slower than everybody else. But like she said, we're getting 18.6, I think, miles to the gallon right now. And that's also good environmentally, good for our wallet. So don't think you need to go crazy big.
And with a good tailwind, you can push it over to 20 mpg.
Right? 65 on the downhill.
You're doing those mountains out in the West. So the question is, how much longer?
We thought it was going to be 6 months. I thought there'd be plenty to see around the US in that time frame and we'd be done. It just made so much sense to me because we had literally been living out of a backpack for 5 years, having traveled to 62 countries and 7 continents. And we kind of like, but I'm sick of unpacking every day. And it would be really nice to have the same bed. Like, so it kind of married that adventure and that stability, even though it's a house on wheels, that kind of solved any issues and hangups we had about travel. I felt like it was all satisfied with RVing. So I see it for you, well, I think Buddy will always be a part of my life, but yes, it's not everything we are. We're proud to be RVers, but it's not the one thing that defines us. We're in Mexico. We came here for a house sitting gig. We took care of a villa in San Miguel de Allende.
We're about to go do some glamping. We're going to do some glamping down the Mexico coast because we wrote this book called Comfortably Wild, all about glamping. So that's like another part of our puzzle. And yeah, and this is also to people listening, like just because you choose one thing doesn't mean it needs to define you or be like this the rest of your life. It's kind of just our adventure vehicle. We're not necessarily RVers, but it's like a tool in our travel arsenal.
Travel arsenal. That's an interesting phrase that I hadn't heard before. The new term that is sweeping the country right now, sweeping the US, is glamping. And I know that you write for a glamping magazine. Define to those that are less aware of that concept, define what glamping is and who are glampers.
So glamping, I mean, its definition is glamorous camping, but that just scratches the surface. It's really about getting into the outdoors easily, comfortably, having experiential travel. Sustainability is a big piece of it. So glamping, it could be anything from what you think of as a safari tent. It could be a vintage Airstream, treehouse, a dome, a shipping container. It's really about unique accommodations in the outdoors. And who's the glamper? I mean, we started glamping early on in our honeymoon. And when we were in, eco camp in Patagonia and could be out hiking all day and kayaking by a glacier and then come back and there's like a gourmet meal and a glass of wine. And then I'm staying in this solar powered, cabin with a wood burning stove. It kind of married that adventure with luxury. And we're like, this is brilliant. And we started writing for places like glamping.com. Falcon Guides took notice and they said, you know what, this is a wild and crazy travel style and nobody has written a book about it. So we wrote the first guidebook to glamping in North America.
I got a copy right here.
You just happen a copy right there. And that is available at Amazon and other online.
Yep, bookshop.amazon and bookshop.org are the two that we throw out. Amazon, it's a little bit cheaper, but bookshop.org, when you buy any book there, not just ours, you can choose your local bookshop and they'll send a portion of the book sales to your local shop that I'm sure we all want to keep them in business.
So where are the next, when you get back from Mexico, where are your ventures taking you in the next 6 months or so?
We'll be doing some US exploring. We partner with different tourism boards. So that's one of the ways that HoneyTrek makes money. So we're going to do a couple partnerships around the US. And then one thing that we're dreaming of, which maybe some people in your audience might have an inside beat on, we're dreaming of doing an all-electric RV trip around Europe, Eastern Europe, into the stands, like a pretty adventurous, like maybe 1 year trip. But we want to do it in a fully electric RV, like not a hybrid, just all electric. So that's kind of one thing we've challenged ourselves for. So if anybody has any ideas on that front or leads, that's one of the adventures. We're always dreaming up new things. Nothing's ever set in stone, but
being flexible. I know exactly. One of the questions that our viewers always want to know is, you said you quit your jobs back out east or whatever, wherever you were. What did each of you do prior to this current lifestyle?
I was a magazine editor.
And I was in marketing and online ad sales in New York.
Okay. So it certainly fits in with what you're doing right now. The beauty of it is you can do the same work you did before, but you don't have to be on 3rd Ave or 4th Ave or 5th Ave and deal with all of the traffic, which nobody's dealing with right now. You look at New York City, it's 5 o'clock on a Monday night. It looks like Sunday morning at 7 a.m.
No, exactly. And to the point of like what we did before, one thing we weren't was millionaires. We didn't, even though we quit our jobs in our 30s and have been doing this lifestyle now for 9 years without a house, we didn't have, $1 million in the bank where we could just peace out. Like we still needed to earn money. And I think people have this fear that and kind of the US system has just taught us stay on the track, make more money, advance the ladder. When you're 65, you'll be able to buy that diesel pusher and retire to Florida or
but
whatever.
You won't have the health to do it.
Exactly. You won't have the health to do it. You might not want to do it because you've got 4 grandkids back home and a lake house that you're comfortable in. And RVing to Florida kind of easy. Think about all your dreams to do abroad. So we always tell people don't let fear take you over. There's so many different ways, especially COVID's taught everybody how to work remotely and new ways to make money online.
And travel can be very affordable. So we budgeted for 1 year. Well, now we're on year 9 because we figured out how to travel affordably. And in RVing, our budget's under $30 a day.
Which is
and
amazing.
That's not, which sounds crazy, but we
that's
also
gas, lodging, and repairs and food.
And our phone plan, it's everything because we learned how to sort of, do some travel hacking, but also realize what's important. It's for us, it's connecting to nature. And we use a lot of public lands, so we rarely pay for campsites. And, we live off the sun and we have big adventures every day. And I feel like we're living really well. So it sounds like we're not scraping by. I think we're living to the fullest.
Doing it great. And you're doing it with a smile. And we want to thank you for taking time from your busy day, regardless of where you are. What's the local time there? Is it just different?
We're on Central.
Yeah. Oh, Central time. Okay. So we want to thank Ann and Mike Howard and their book. Hold that book up there again one more time, Mike.
We have 2.
I'll give you 2. Comfortably Wild is the glamping book, and then Ultimate Journeys for 2 is the Nat Geo book.
2. That was your big National Geographic debut. And
exactly.
It has a big road trip chapter too.
You have credible publishers that you've worked with. And we want to thank you so much for being with us.